Welcome back to That's Delivered. I'm your host, Trucking Ray, bringing you real conversations with people shaping the trucking industry and the lives behind the wheel. Today, we're talking about something every driver deals with, not just, not enough. We talk about our health, our body, and how actually taking care of yourself on the road can be a difficult thing. I'm joined by Hope Zvara, CEO of Mother Trucker Yoga, and has spent years helping truck drivers improve their mobility, reduce pain, and build routines that actually fit the trucker's lifestyle, and not just some unrealistic gym plan. Hope, how you doing?
Hello.
So glad to have you on the show. Hey.
Well, I'm excited to be on the show today talking about my biggest passion, which is health, particularly driver health. And
Mhm.
definitely, like you said, a topic that every driver deals with in some capacity, some maybe more than others. But definitely, there are solutions and strategies out there for you that don't take a lot of work. And I think that's partly what we're going to talk about today.
That's awesome. I mean, you're doing a lot of great things out there. You spent these years helping truckers and doing, getting out there to truck shows and letting them know, hey, you're out here and you got a plan to help them. So let's start with how you got started with the background and creating Mother Trucker Yoga. How did you even come up with the name?
Well, first and foremost, I didn't get my start in trucking. My husband has a CDL, but he uses it more on the construction side. And so people usually ask me like, "Are you a truck driver?" I do own a truck, but I do not drive. I can drive, but I do not drive is the key word. But
Nice.
I really didn't get my start in trucking per se as much as I found yoga in a time of crisis for myself about 20 years ago, really looking for solutions and strategies out there to help with my own health and well-being. I was struggling with depression and anxiety, something that many drivers out there struggle with on a regular basis. And for myself personally, addiction. And I felt like there was nothing out there that could help. I did all the traditional routes, I followed all the protocols, and I still felt like, am I going to live like this forever? And then one day, someone looked at me while I was at work and she said, "You looked like someone that would practice yoga." And something in me just tripped that day. And I went home and got on my internet and found a yoga class nearby. And that weekly yoga class became my weekly ritual of second chances. And eventually, that yoga class led me into a yoga teacher training. It led me into opening a school, a studio. And I did that for about 14, 15 years. But I always felt like there was something more out there for me, that there was a population that really needed my expertise and what I was offering to people beyond what I was doing at my studio here in Wisconsin. And then one night I was at a business mixer and I start talking to this guy and never met him before. And he looks at me and says, "Do you have anything for truck drivers?" Like in the cab of the truck. And here I am trying to pitch him like corporate wellness. I thought that's the next thing for me. And I think I'm funny sometimes. And I threw up my hands and said, "Mother Trucker Yoga." Really just trying to get a rise out of this guy, like trying
Yeah.
to make slightly awkward conversation a little bit more fun and lighthearted. And he didn't skip a beat. He's like, "That's brilliant." Sticks out his hand and says, "You want to go into business together?" In 20 minutes, we became business partners. He called me up the next day and was like, "Hey, business partner, are we going to do this?" I said yes. And a year later, I bought him out of the business, mainly because it was kind of my vision, my expertise. He was in trucking, which was great. And so we parted ways. And for the last about 9 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of truck drivers in various capacities change lanes in their health and fitness, all with small, simple changes. That has always been the basis of my teaching since I started in 2002. Is you don't need these big complicated programs. You don't need these elaborate things. You don't need these big sales hypes. You need small little things that you can stick in your back pocket and pull out every single day, day in and day out. Doing them consistently is always going to get you on the right track towards better health.
Awesome. That's great, man. For someone who's listening out there who's been driving for years, what are the most common physical issues that you've seen across the industry?
Yeah, we all know people talk about diabetes, high blood pressure. Those are all kind of a given and very much diet related and lack of movement related. But aside from that, the biggest complaints I hear physically are lower back pain is a constant one. neck pain, carpal tunnel issues, and for a lot of people, the mental health piece. Let's see if we can get my camera to focus here a little bit better. There we go. It's something that's not often talked about, but definitely a big issue is the loneliness, is the isolation, and how that wears on a driver's mental health. I think many of the drivers, actually, I know I've talked to so many of them, in the beginning, they don't think that piece is a big issue, but after a while, they really notice it starts to play on their overall well being.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And especially this month being a mental health awareness, we're bringing that awareness, by, Mother Trucker Yoga. And there's a lot of people out there that need that help, need that encouragement because yoga does more than just physically help you. It helps your mind as well. For those who may have never done yoga, can you explain to them a little bit about what it does mentally?
Yeah, for your mental health, this is why I love yoga so much. And for what we do at Mother Trucker Yoga, if you're new to us or you've seen our stuff but haven't really dug in, I'm not teaching namaste to people in the truck. We're not warrior twoing or standing on our head, but really I'm taking the principles and practicalities of yoga and applying it into a fitness and health regime because kind of that traditional fitness, that gym style isn't working. It doesn't work for drivers. It doesn't work for a lot of us. We need that mind body spirit application in order to really heal and really be able to feel healthy as a whole person. But when it comes to yoga, that mental piece is so critical because you can go through the motions all you want. You can run on the treadmill, you can eat the right things, but if up here you're not applying, you're not really mindfully there, really connecting with what you're doing or why you're doing what you're doing to begin with, you're never going to change your habits. As
Right.
somebody that has been dealing with addiction her whole life, has been in recovery now for many years, take it from me. If you do not deal with the mental reasons, the internal reasons why these things are happening, and don't blame it all on trucking. Don't just be like, well, I'm a truck driver. I sit all day. That's why I'm overweight. That's why I have this. Yes, those are definitely obstacles that are much more challenging than the average person. However, that should not be the reason why you don't step up to the plate and face those issues and start to look for solutions. And yoga just does such a great job of slowing a person down, asking you to be present
Mm.
and pay attention to why you're feeling what you're feeling. Why are you upset? Why are you sad? Why do you emotionally eat? Why are you angry all the time? Like all of these things, we don't always connect to fitness, but they are very much a big part of it. And why, for many people, they aren't able to get well and stay well.
That's amazing. I mean, putting those 2 together, I think that's gonna be huge for people to slow down. I mean, you're always used to go, go, go from point A to point B, and, sometimes we're missing out on sleep. Sleep is an issue, irregular food options out there, they're kinda limited, and you kinda wonder, "What should I do?" But yoga is gonna be a good way for you to slow down and think about what you need to do, build a plan. From your perspective, what actually happens to the body over time in this lifestyle?
Oh my gosh, so many different things. If we look at just our physicality, so let's look at muscles. Okay, everyone feels like, okay, I get overweight, I lose muscle mass. Sitting, they say that sitting is the new smoking. Well, standing is also the new smoking. And we start to break down muscle fibers. Okay, we increase fat storage, we decrease muscle, which is going to decrease our longevity, excuse me, because we don't have the physical capacity to age healthy. And so just physically, just how it is that we can go about our day, our body is breaking down. Now all of a sudden your joints hurt. Now all of a sudden you have chronic inflammation. Inflammation, a lot of it for a driver is yes due to food, but the other piece of that is the inactivity.
Mm.
Because one way to get rid of inflammation in the body is to move, is to exercise, is to move your joints, is to deep breathe. And so when we're not doing those things coupled with a poor diet, we're going to have an increase in inflammation. And there's a lot of research around an increase in inflammation in one's body is connected to all types of disease. Some say it's even the premise or the foundation of disease. And so if we want to increase health and well-being, we got to get moving. We got to move our physical body so that we can, at a minimum, decrease inflammation. But there are other key factors and other things as well that truck drivers are dealing with that I don't want to say it comes with the job, but it comes with the job unless you're willing to kind of combat it and proactively get out in front of it. So yes, overweight, yes, muscular issues, but also another one is sleep issues.
Mm.
Chronic irregular sleep is also a huge connector to unhealthy lifestyle, to putting on the pounds, to high cortisol, to inflammation, to diabetic reactions, to high blood pressure. And there's a saying I've heard from some drivers. It's like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Like, okay, it's not a big deal. But sleep is a nutrient. We talk about needing B vitamins for energy and mental well being. We talk about vitamin C so we don't get scurvy, like all these different things, right? But why aren't we looking at sleep as a vitamin? And
Mm.
so for drivers, for those of you listening out there, for the next week, okay, you don't have to go crazy. You don't need to like do a bunch of research. Just track when you fall, like when you go to sleep. Let's say you go to sleep at, I'm just going to throw a time out there, 10 o'clock, but you maybe don't fall asleep till, let's say, 10:30 or 11. What time are you waking up at? And then just journal how you feel in the morning. Like how do you feel? Like, did you get quality sleep? Are you groggy? Are you tired? Like, just take inventory of how you're feeling and do that for a whole week. Then look back and look for patterns. Look for patterns, okay? Like, oh, this day I, didn't move a lot, but this day I did. Or, oh, this day it took me an hour to fall asleep, but this day it only took me a half an hour. Just so you can start to get a handle on why maybe you're feeling that way. And so that for a whole nother conversation, we can talk about REM cycle. We can talk about all that kind of stuff when it comes to sleep, but sleep is a nutrient. And then the other piece or the other capacity is obviously what we're eating. And for many drivers, we're eating at truck stops, we're eating fast foods, we're eating high fat foods and not the good fat, the unhealthy fats. And we're packing on the pounds for it, and it's affecting our body. We're seeing diabetes, we're seeing high blood pressure, we're seeing cholesterol levels at an all-time high, we're seeing digestive issues. An issue also that not a lot of drivers talk about publicly, but I hear it a lot one-on-one, is constipation. Constipation is a huge issue for truck drivers because they're not drinking enough water and they're eating foods that are very low in fiber. And so they're having issues going to the bathroom. That also connects back to a lot of different health issues. And so are you up against a lot? Yes. But if you step back and look at the general population of America, there are a lot of other people dealing with these same issues. It's just as a driver, you have so much more working against you, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't want to just limit yourself and think that, just not for me. And what are two, three simple things that a driver can do that can take less than 5 minutes? What would you say?
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. So let's zero in on some of the main things. And so I'm a big believer in, instead of separating yourself from your everyday life, like, oh, now I got to go work out. Oh, now I have to find a gym. Like, that's not realistic and practical for a lot of people, truck driver or not. And so instead, first step one is to identify small pockets of time throughout the day. So is that 5 minutes before you officially get out of bed? Okay. Maybe set your alarm 5 minutes earlier. Okay. Is that when you're filling up for fuel? You have a little bit of downtime where you're kind of waiting. That's 1 or 2 minutes. That's perfect. Is that on your break? Is that when you're waiting to load or unload? Is that once you park for the night? So first things first, you have to identify the small pockets of time. Why? Because if you don't even think you have time, you will never do it. But I guarantee you can be the busiest person on the planet, and I will follow you around for a day, and I will find time that you have to move your
Mm.
body. Okay, so that's the first step. But then three things that you can do. My favorite is moving in the driver's seat. I love double downing. I love being able to find things we're already doing and then
Mm.
add something to it. So you're not wasting any time and you're not taking more time out of your day. So something as simple, because I talked about how back pain is one of the number one things I hear from drivers that they complain about because of the sitting and the constant vibration. No matter how fancy your seat is, you're going to get that impact on your spine. So one of the things I love doing is when you're sitting in the driver's seat, sit nice and tall, kind of pull your back away from the truck seat, and you're going to practice what's called pelvic tilting. So that means you're going to arc your lower back away from the seat. Like if I had a pin popping out of the lower part of the seat, you'd kind of arc your back away from it. And then
Mm.
exhale, push the pin into the seat, kind of C-curve your spine, tuck your tailbone. It's almost like tipping water in a bowl front to back.
Mm,
And
makes
you're going
me
to
want to do it.
times. I'm going to do that 10 times. I'm standing here right now and I'm just arcing and lowering my back. I'm rounding my back and we're going to do that 10 times. Why is this such a great movement? One, because it increases mobility in the lower lumbar, which is our lower back. So it's going to ease that tension. And then number two, which is something a lot of people don't think about, is long-term sitting really cuts off circulation and blood flow between the lower body and the heart. And so the heart has to work really hard to get that blood flow back up to the heart again from the legs. And so by doing some pelvic tilting, you're actually creating a pathway for that circulation to come back up again towards the heart center, which is really beneficial for your body in general, not to mention lowering blood pressure, lowering stress, increasing blood flow to your organs, which is going to help with digestion and just all over vitality. So such a simple, silly movement. Yes, it focuses on back pain, but it does so much more for our body. And this is something that you can do in your phone, on your alarm, every 15 or 30 minutes. Just have a reoccurring alarm. Like, don't use a noise like, use something fun, like a bird chirp or something that feels positive. But when you hear that sound, that should be your cue to be like, oh yeah, I have to do my pelvic tilts. What if that one move was a game changer for you? What if that one move helped you get out of the truck and not make you feel like you were frozen in place? You know what I'm talking about, where you need like a minute to be able to stand upright because your body is just stuck. That can
The
be the
trucker
game
stance.
changer. Exactly.
You get
The
out, you're so
second
stiff.
one, yeah, the second one is when you're out of the truck. And so this is going to be really important because we talked about that blood flow again, is what I call the calf pump. So you're going to be standing, okay? You're filling up with fuel, you're doing whatever, you're on the phone. I don't care where you're outside of your truck, but you just need like 60 seconds. And you're going to start standing and step 1 foot back, maybe like a foot to a foot and a half's length. And then make sure your feet are parallel, not that back foot turned out. We want it straight forward. And all you're going to do is bend your front knee slightly and then try bending your back knee as much as you can without lifting the heel. And you're going to stretch the calf, the Achilles, the plantar tendon, which is the bottom of the foot. You're going to hold that for 3 seconds, and then you're going to straighten the leg again. And you're going to do that 5 to 10 times on each side. I have all these videos on my YouTube channel. I have blogs on them on my website. They're in my book, Trucking Yoga. So you have plenty of ways to find out how to do these moves as well, but I want to walk you through them. And you're going to do then that same thing on the other leg. Why is this movement so functional and practical and critical? Because we talked about that blood flow again. And if you're not walking, jumping, running, skipping, hopping, the calf, which is the hydraulic pump for the heart, okay? Because the heart needs help to get that blood flow back up to from the lower body. That blood's not moving back up to the heart. And so by bending and straightening that back leg, you're kind of artificially jump starting that hydraulic pump and getting that blood flow to recirculate back up to the heart again. Also, reducing calf tension is going to help reduce lower back pain, because the tighter the backs of the legs, the more it's going to pull down on your lower back. So that's the second move. And then the third move, there's a lot of them, but I'm going to just pick 3. The last one I want you to do in the sleeper. So we got one in each area, okay? Driver's seat, outside the truck, and in the sleeper. The last one you're going to do is you're going to do what we call in yoga a cobra, but essentially it's going to be like a back bender and extension. You're going to lay on your belly and put your hands right under your shoulders. So if I was laying on the bed, my hands are right underneath my shoulders. You're going to take a nice big breath in and then press up off the bed a couple of inches. You don't have to go all the way straight up as you press your tailbone down between your legs. Once you're up, I want you to look up and really reach with the chin to stretch the whole front of the body. Why is this so important? Because all day long, you're in a forward flexing position. Your body gets stuck that way. Yes, there is something as muscle memory. The muscles don't really remember. What remembers is the fascia. And so it kind of solidifies or kind of becomes plastic-like, where we're stuck in that position. We've all seen that, little old men and little old ladies, where they're just stuck in this position with their head forward, their shoulders rounded. And you're like, why can't I get you to stand upright? That's because they've been remembering that position for many, many, many years. So that extension or that cobra is going to help you undo that forward rounding. That's a great position or stretch to do in the morning before you get out of bed. That's a great one to do before you excuse me, before you go to bed, if you feel like your hips and lower back are just kind of like squeezing on you and you can't figure out how to get to sleep, it hurts so bad, just flip over, do that little extension, and you're gonna be able to fall asleep with less pain. So those are
Mm.
3 moves that you can do in 3 minutes or less in any time of day. You don't need yoga pants on, you don't need a yoga mat. This is practical, functional movement at its best just for drivers.
That's amazing. I mean, you gotta think about all this stuff and more. You want to just get the load delivered, but there's so much more you gotta take care of your health. I mean, building that consistency, I'm sure you're aware of being a business owner yourself. Once someone gets started, the hard part is sticking with it. You don't want to just, that life throws you those curveballs and then you let it go. What's your advice for building consistency on the road where every day looks different?
I love this. I call it the 1% rule. I am not a fan of, I'm just going to go all in, change my whole life tomorrow. I'm never going to eat sugar again. I'm going to go gluten free. I'm going to walk 5 miles. I'm going to do mother trucker yoga 20 minutes every day. Like you've ever heard, you know, those people where it's like they got the laundry list and your eyes roll back in your head going, yeah, good luck. Like you've never made any change in your life and now you're going to change 90 things tomorrow. I'm not saying that doesn't work, but the majority of the people that's not going to work. And so this is where the 1% rule comes in. Starting today, not tomorrow. As someone in recovery, we say start tomorrow because we actually don't want to change. When you start saying I'm going to start today, that's where the real magic happens. So we're going to start today and we're going to start the 1% rule. And what this is today I'm going to be 1% better than I was yesterday. What can this look like? If you don't drink water, I don't want you to have to start drinking 8 bottles of water. Like that's actually unrealistic. It can be trauma to your system. How about 1 bottle of water? Never eat vegetables, 1 vegetable. You're not really big into exercise or fitness. How about just 1 stretch? And be consistent with that 1 stretch every day. Don't worry about what other people say. Don't worry about social media. Don't worry about like if you're going to commit to that 1 backstretch in the driver's seat, do that every single day. Because here's the good part. At the end of the year, you are 365% better than you were a year ago just by doing one thing every single day for the next year. And the cool thing is after about 21 to 48 days, depending on what you're doing and what you're focusing on, that 1%, that one habit is going to become 2, is going to become 3, is going to become 4. But for now, don't even worry about that. Don't even worry that you don't have a program. Don't even worry that you don't have a total plan. Like you're new to this. You're new to this. And so how about pick one thing that seems doable and realistic and works for you, and you just absolutely kill it with that. And then we'll just take it from there one step at a time.
Nice. I mean, that is great. That's encouraging. It seems doable. A lot of people they get overwhelmed. It's like, man, this is too much. But that 1%, or just doing that one thing, I mean, that's huge. So great
Well,
advice.
and we're kind of sold into, I feel like in society, even outside of trucking. I've been in the business space, the fitness space, and health space for many years. And we're sold into this like elaborate program concept, right? Like, oh, in 6 weeks, this, or you have to follow this whole protocol, or buy these 90 products, and then automatically you'll be healed. Here's the one thing that many of these fail to see. And this is why sometimes I feel like I'm a horrible business owner, because I really struggle with those concepts because I feel like they're not practical for people and they're a lot of hype. The second you step out of that, what's the likelihood you're going to continue? And that's the real truth. And so when you see programs that are like, lose 20 pounds, this person lost 500 pounds, get ripped in 6 weeks, you have to step back and go, okay, but what is the reality? I will commit to this after the program is done. And I'm not saying that for you to not buy those things or that those people don't know anything. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I need you to get up here in your head and you need to be honest with yourself and say, what is realistic for me? And this is why the 1% rule as a starting point is so powerful, because if you can commit to one thing, the human brain is really great because once it sees that it did something, it's all based on reward system. And you see you can accomplish it, your brain's going to want more of it. But if you start something and then you fail, the human brain wants to protect us. So then we push back and say, health's not for me. Fitness is not for me. I can't do this. And now we create more space between what we could be potentially accomplishing when it comes to health and wellness and where we are. And so I really want you, if you're listening, to take inventory on what's going on in here in your mind before you step into something, and consider the 1% rule. And don't let anyone tell you that that's not going to do anything, or that that's not enough. Now, sometimes you're in a critical place where you have to make drastic changes. And I hope that those of you listening aren't there yet. But for those of you that are in that place, 1% rule, add slowly, be consistent. It's all about what can I continue to do over a long period of time.
That's amazing. I knew I was having this podcast, so I made sure I worked out today. Try to do a little bit. So, yeah, this is great
Love that.
advice. The mind is so tricky, and you got to take care of it. You got to make sure your mental health is well, but also you want to make sure you're making good decisions so that would affect your body. I mean, that is well put the way you said that. I mean, you're just doing that little bit of change, not too much, and then also keeping tabs on yourself. So,
Yeah.
great job.
And one thing I do want to
Yeah.
say is, one thing I think is great about the trucking space, and I think, Ray, you probably know this and see this all the time, is the trucking community is just that. It is a great tight-knit community. And so if you're trying to change your health and you're trying to improve your lifestyle, look around you and find the drivers that are prioritizing their health, that are trying to do the same, that care about that, and surround yourself with those people. Because when you have a community and accountability towards making healthy changes in your life, you're going to go so much further, so much faster. Versus if you're still hanging out with the people that are like, oh, I drink 90 Mountain Dews a day and it doesn't bother me, or I eat 5 Big Macs every single day. That's not a big deal. And I'm exaggerating that, okay? But you see my point. It's really hard to say, I care about my health, when everyone around you is essentially making fun of you for caring about your health. Those aren't the people that are going to pull you up. Those are the people that are essentially keeping you down. Why? Because they don't want to make a change.
I mean, is that part of the switch? You got to also be around good people that help you. I mean, because it's so
100%.
hard. People say, "I don't have the time. This is my job is so demanding." They're so focused on getting the job done, they don't think about how to get the job done. So,
100%.
yeah. So, how important is it for companies and fleets to support driver health as well?
I think this is one of the pivotal key pieces that could change this industry for the better. And now I've been around for quite a while. I've talked with lots of different companies of all sizes, and there are some distinct key differences between companies that, I don't even want to say prioritize health, care about health is maybe a better term, versus the companies that say it's important but actually don't take action towards it. Now, 9 years ago, when I first stepped into this, an idea for many companies that I talked to, they were like, yeah, we have a gym at our headquarters. And part of me was like, what truck driver is even there? What truck driver is at your office? Maybe if they come home on the weekends and they park their truck there, but like, your office personnel is using that. You're using that, which I think is great, but that really doesn't apply to the truck drivers. And so I think for a lot of trucking companies, if you're looking to just get started in prioritizing your health, one, you need to look at yourself, because we practice what we preach. And are you walking every day? Do you try to eat healthier? Like, how are you talking about health just in general within your workplace and your everyday life? You don't need to be a health guru, but if you're kind of poo-pooing on health and well-being, like, oh, you're too busy, you got to care about my bottom line. Well, newsflash, with high turnovers in this industry, and one of the biggest reasons why drivers leave the industry, which has nothing to do with driving the actual truck or being a driver as a profession, and has a lot more to do with the lifestyle of trucking. They can't handle the lifestyle. It's too stressful. They're putting on too much weight. Their physical body hurts too much. Mentally, they can't handle it. Like, if that's what's creating your turnover, actually health or not being a healthy company is costing you far more than not having the top of the line trucks, not having the best drivers. And so that piece there, but for a lot of trucking companies, how can we start becoming healthier. One, what's the environment like? And so in the terminals, can you put posters on how to stretch? Like we have what's called the Fit As You Go poster set, and it shows truck drivers in various environments on how to stretch, like simple, easy 60-second, 30-second stretches, like showing them that you care about this thing. It's a great nonverbal, indirect way. Maybe
How
in
do
your
they
newsletter, you
how do
can
they
put a little
get that
column.
how do they get that done? Do they actually make the posters themselves or find it online or something? How
Great
do they
question. So
yeah,
we have them on our website, mothertruckeryoga.com, in our store. They're called the Fit As You Go poster set. I actually just before we got on was packaging up a couple for some CDL schools. And so this is a great way for you to indirectly showcase that you care about health and show that you care about their well-being. And so that's one way to do that. Another way would be to have a column in your newsletter, sending out things that, you talk about what's going on in the company and what's, new accounts you have or whatever else you send out. Why not have a little section on like a stretch of the week or a stretch of the month? Maybe bringing in, when you do in-service training, bringing someone in like myself to do a 1-hour training on things that drivers can do to improve their health and well-being. Like these are all easy things that you can implement without having to completely reinvent the wheel towards being considered a healthy trucking company. And so take inventory. If you are a company owner or a fleet owner, are you at least doing 1% better? Are you taking that initiative towards showing your drivers that you care about their health? Because here's the cool thing. They are going to live up to the standard that you set for them. Whether it's to how many miles to get under their belt, whether it's to not have an accident, to make sure they have X amount of loads, delivered on time, whatever the case may be. And if that company owner sets a standard that they want their drivers to care about their health, where do you think they're going to try to live up to? Who do you think you're going to attract? It's no different than some companies require a uniform and some don't. And when you talk to the drivers that wear a button-down shirt with the name on, logo on their chest every day, one of the things I've noticed about the drivers that dress that way is they carry themselves a little bit differently. There's a lot of pride that goes into that. Dressing your best, dress up to the level that you want to live at. There's a lot to be said about that. And so we can do the same thing with health. Set a little bit of a standard for them. Show them that health is important. Maybe invoke some types of little things that they can do, some little incentives to be able to be rewarded within the company. And so these are all little things that companies can do to really just start to set the tone that it's not just health matters, but their health matters. And that's really the key difference, is seeing the drivers, seeing the challenges they're up against and saying, hey, what can I do to help my drivers put their healthiest foot forward in a very non-intimidating fashion?
I mean, there's a lot of money being spent to um, work down, accidents, to make sure the drivers are safe. There's a lot of money put into like telematics to make sure that the equipment is reading back to the company. But are we actually putting the dollars where it needs to be spent for health and driver retention? To keep the driver. I mean, you can put all the telematics you want in the truck or even autonomous trucks. That's a lot of money, but yet if you take the time to hire good drivers and train them well, and then hold on to them and keep them healthy, you probably will come out saving some money on the end as well. I don't know if there's
Absolutely.
any numbers on that, but I think that's what we're rooting for here is for the companies to champion the driver to keep them around. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some numbers anywhere between like 16,000 to 28,000 saved on just recruitment costs from losing a driver. And so that number is kind of all over the place, but let's just use the low end, $16,000 you save. How much turnover are you having every single month or year that's costing you that you could be saving by simply creating some health initiatives within your company? Now, that being said, this is a whole nother podcast. There are a lot of things that companies are doing wrong when it comes to wellness programs that are too overwhelming. It's too much. It's confusing because they're living on this concept that more is better. And so then you have to remember who your audience is. These are men and women that probably don't have a background in health. They're not naturally drawn to taking care of themselves, even if they want to. It's not a habit yet. So when you're like, join our water challenge, you need to drink 64 ounces of water a day. Hey, you need to walk 5 miles. You should also stretch. You should get weights in your truck. We're going to now do a weekly weigh-in. Drivers are like, like, I can't do this. And so they're actually pushing back against those wellness programs, which is having an inverse effect. And it's telling then the population and trucking and these companies, wellness programs don't work. Drivers don't want to be healthy. When it's in fact, that's the total opposite. It's the delivery method that they're taking that is creating that reaction. And if we simply change the delivery method, we could have a totally different outcome.
Amazing. You see the big picture. I wish that
I
more would
try.
also see that. Yeah, you're doing great. So a lot of great things out there. Quick hints or accountable takeaways. If you were to give a driver one thing to do every morning, what would you say?
Hmm. I would say the night before you go to bed, I want you to grab a bottle of water or fill up your water bottle or whatever it is you have. And I want you to put that water right next to you so that when you wake up in the morning and you sit up and you put your feet on the ground, first, you offer a little gratitude that you're alive and you're kicking and you get another day at this life. And then once you've done that, before you think about anything else, I just want you to down that water. I want you to chug that water until it's gone. 8 ounces to 16 ounces, something like that. That's 1 to 2 cups.
Yep.
And some of the people will say, well, I don't like water. Well, I don't like chemotherapy drugs. So take your pick. So I'm going to drink the water. Okay. So I'm going to down the water. And why is this so important? Because when you drink water first thing in the morning, you flush all the toxins out of your system. You jumpstart your digestion. You jumpstart your system of elimination. It's going to help with mental clarity, drowsiness, fatigue, inflammation, all that stuff. And the cool thing is when we do that right away when we wake up in the morning, by the time you go and you get yourself ready, right? You're going to do your pre-chip check. You're going to make breakfast. You're going to go in and do all the stuff. You're going to have to go to the bathroom. And then before you even head out on the road, you're already 1 to 2 cups of water into your day. That's not going to affect your trip. Now you can't use the excuse, I can't drink water because I can't stop. Because now you've just strategically chose to prioritize your health in a way that doesn't take away from your life, but rather adds to your life. And when you drink water first thing in the day, you're probably also going to notice you crave some of those sugary drinks a little bit less because now you're more hydrated. And that, my friends, is really the foundation to a great longevity and well-being if we can just make that one small, simple change. And hey, what's 1 to 2 glasses of water in the morning? Like, what's that really going to take away from our life? More importantly, what's that going to add to our life?
Yeah. So how about what's one thing they would do during the day?
Okay, so one thing we can do during the day, I want to encourage all of you drivers to practice deep breathing. So deep diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing, that's getting your breath way down into where your belly button is. And I'm a big fan of the alarm system strategy. Set an alarm on your phone every 30 minutes. Again, pick a sound that doesn't connect to stress. Usually the sound of an alarm creates a triggered stress response. And when that goes off, you're going to take 3 deep breaths. So that means you're going to breathe in for a count of 3 to 4 and breathe out for a count of 6 to 8. And you're going to do that 3 times. That's it. And then when you hear that sound again, you're going to take 3 deep breaths. By doing that, we lower cortisol levels and we get out of what's called our fight, flight, or freeze. That's our parasympathetic nervous system. And we get into what's called rest and digest. That's our opposite. So when we get out of that, when we get out of that sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic nervous system, then we're like, we're not so edgy. We're not so grouchy. We're not like seeing the person drive by us and saying things that they can only see our mouth moving through the window, right? And so those 3 deep breaths can really make a really big difference in our mental health, in our physical health, and in our emotional health. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't require any training. It doesn't mean you have to go do anything extra. No changing your clothes required. No education level needed. But it's something that if you do throughout the day, even just 1, 2, or 3 times, can have a huge impact on how not only you look at your life, but how you look at yourself.
Wow, that's great. I mean, you're rolling this stuff off real easy. I mean, it makes it you've been talking and walking this this thing for a long time. That's amazing.
Thank
What's
you.
one thing last that they would do for bedtime before they
Mm.
go to sleep?
Okay, so when you're going to sleep, this is really important for all people, truck drivers or not. What you do before you go to sleep actually has a bigger impact than how you sleep per se. So I want you to just start slow, 15 minutes. So 15 minutes before bed, I want you to turn off all electronics. Turn the lights down low in the cab of the truck, in the cabin of the truck, so that your eyes can adjust and your brain can adjust. There's a reason why the sun sets slowly, because it actually tells us, it tells our nervous system that it's time to kind of slow down and start to go to sleep. And so we kind of want to mimic that in the cab of the truck as well. And so no electronics, at least 15 minutes. A lot of statistics say 60, but I like to start small and practical, things that don't make people have a panic attack when they're like, what? I can't check Facebook one more time before I go to bed? Sure, but 15 minutes before you go to bed. Lights down low. And then the last thing is, once you're in bed, you have a couple of options. One, do those 3 deep breaths again. Or two, I'm a big fan. I love music therapy. Turn on like some really soothing, calming music. You can put your earbuds in, you can turn on whatever you need to do. And it just can be for like 2 or 3, 4 minutes to help, again, your nervous system wind down, to help your body know that it's time to relax and let go. And just a simple routine like that, done regularly, can make a huge impact in us not only falling asleep, but the key here for drivers is staying asleep. And so changing the environment, not just ourselves when it comes to sleep, has a huge impact in how it is we create the quality of sleep that we need to wake up feeling refreshed and renewed.
Wow, man, hope this has been great. It's been a great conversation. You got three good takeaways. And just like that 1%, just focus on that. Just one thing to do to change. Start out maybe just one thing a week, and then get those 7 days down. You've made a big change. So
Absolutely.
um, yeah, I think a lot of the drivers out there need to hear this. For anyone who out there is listening, wants to know more, check out your programs. I mean, start making those changes. And where's the best place for people to reach out to you and find you? I'm sure you have a lot of areas for people to get to know you.
Absolutely. So we are on social media, and so you can find my videos over on YouTube, Mother Trucker Yoga. We're on Instagram and Facebook. I post a lot of different stuff on there. If you're big into reading, check out our blog at mothertruckeryoga.com. We post almost daily different strategies, routines, ideas, exercises, from the mental health piece to the physical and back again. So lots of different concepts for drivers, for companies, for schools. And so just ton of information, much of it researched from my 2 decades in this space and beyond. And so such a great resource for you all. And the last thing, and probably the most important, is to check out my book, Trucking Yoga. Simple Fitness for the Long Haul. It's on Amazon. It's on our website. 60 exercises that you can do in and around the cab of the truck in really 60 seconds or less. Strategies around good posture and how to move in the driver's seat. Just a really a packed full book that essentially is like a player's guide for you to open up and be like, what do I need to do today? And you can just look at the picture and be like, I got that, and be able to apply it to your life. So it's really a lot of what I teach and talk about on social and on my website, all put into one nice playbook.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, you are a beacon of hope for a lot of people out there that they know they can make a change and they can make that impact for themselves and also for their family and their loved ones to stay around even longer. So we don't want the industry to take us out. We want us to be able to add to the industry. So this is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll leave you guys with this. Your health is your wealth. And the second you start shifting away from all of that other stuff, which will come in time, and you recognize that without my health, I can't enjoy the money I make. I can't enjoy the house that I build. I can't enjoy the truck that I drive. Like, none of that is possible without your health. Your whole life will change. As somebody that nearly lost her life because I didn't prioritize my health, I didn't see this as the highest level of currency that we will ever have in this lifetime. Now is the time. Now is the time for you to make a change. Now is the time for you to apply that 1% rule. Now is the time for you to prioritize yourself, because ain't no one going to do it for you. But the second you prioritize yourself, the whole world is going to change.
That's beautiful. You got a great story. I hope that people get your book and learn more about what has motivated you so that they can enjoy that for themselves, make it their own. So a big thanks to you out there. I mean, appreciate all the work you're doing with Mother Trucker Yoga and coming on the show, sharing the real practical ways that drivers can take care of themselves without complicating it. So if you got value from this episode, make sure you subscribe, share it with another driver, and we'll be bringing more conversations like this for you in the future. Until next time, keep rolling, and that's delivered.